it's Harley J, and in this video, as you can probably tell by the title, I'm going to be listing my top 10 characters in the Dangan Ronpa series. Just as a side note, this does cover the whole of the series, which includes spin-off games, light novels, anime, etc. I'd also like to point out that this is entirely my own opinion, and it's fine to disagree with it, just be respectful about it if you think differently. Though, as it's my own opinion, it's not concrete and it will probably change over time, so I guess this is my top 10 for this moment. Also, this video is going to contain a lot of spoilers in terms of trials, who dies, all that stuff, so turn away now if you don't want any of that spoiled for you. Number 10 on my list is Hyoko Sayonji. This one is a long shot. I've seen quite a lot of people giving her lots of abuse for being a whiny little brat, but personally I love that about her. She's the complete opposite of how you'd expect her to be, whether she be mildly teasing the other characters or straight up insulting them. It's not how you'd expect a girl so cute to act. Her story involvement in the Twilight Syndrome murder case is really interesting too, and she brings a lot to the plot with the trials, like how she got caught up in Koizumi's murder, and how she wound up dead in the third chapter of Super Dangan Ronpa 2 is really cool, and just adds to the well thought out and intricate plots that Dangan Ronpa always throws at us. Plus, her relationship with Koizumi is really sweet, and I love how she mothered Sayonji for the short time they were around, and I hope to see more of that in the Despair arc of DR3. Number 9 is Kazuichi Soda. For me, this guy is just a big, lovable idiot. He's constantly blubbering and swooning over Sonia, and I just find that really funny, and it's definitely the comic relief needed in the heavy Super Dangan Ronpa 2. How he treats the other characters is really funny too, especially Gundam and Hajime, like how when Sonia was getting closer to Tanaka he got really jealous, and I think that small plotline was so funny to throw back to. Also, when everyone suspects Hinata of being the traitor, he's straight up rude with him, and I think that shows just how extreme of a character he is, with his own morals. I'd be interested to see where he goes in terms of the ultimate despair, and how Junko influences him. I think that'd be really cool. Number 8 is Byakua Tagami. This guy is such a horrible person to everyone else, and I love him for that. He doesn't care who you are or what you stand for, you'll always be beneath him, and the dynamics he has with the other characters, especially in the first game, is really entertaining and telling of his character. He's also one of the most interesting characters in the first game, and is one of the main driving forces behind the trials, so he's really key in the plots. I also love his involvement with Fujisaki's death. I think that's just so messed up on so many levels, but when I played it, I remember thinking like, wow, this game likes to throw curveballs, huh? And I think with Chihiro's death, that was established so perfectly with Tagami's involvement. Also, I'm a sucker for the tell them Negi meme. It's so good! Number 7 is Yasuki Matsuda. This is the reason I said that I'm including the light novels, because I couldn't leave this guy out. He's got such an interesting storyline, and he's one of the only characters we see with an actual human relationship with Junko, and I think that's so important just to show how messed up she is when she actually kills him. His whole connection with the mutual killing game and Junko's past is something I personally never saw coming, but I'm very glad it's there, as it just shows how much power Junko holds over the people who love and care about her. Also, I love Dangan Ronpa 0, and his whole demeanour and how he's just so sharp makes him such an admirable character. Number 6 on my list is Fukawa. Say what you will about this literary girl / serial killer, she definitely has a huge impact on the series as a whole. In the first game, when I first met her, I'll admit that I didn't like her very much with how she was so bitter and rude, but when Genocide Jack is revealed, I understood instantly why she was like that. Plus, Genocide Jack was such a surprise to me the first time I played it. Obviously we've been getting hints over time, but when she finally reveals herself, I was not prepared of how intense she'd be, for lack of a better word. Her development in another episode is also another reason why I love her so much. You see a lot more with her backstory and past, and you get to explore why Genocide Jack comes around, and see a lot more of a confident but still bitter Toko, but her bluntness matched with Kamaru's naivety makes for the perfect dynamic in this game. Number 5 is Sonia Nevermind. This princess is held so dearly in my heart for so many reasons. Her comedic plotline with Soda and Tanaka is a breath of fresh air in the dark Dangan Ronpa games, and how she simply doesn't understand cultural references, and that dynamic with the other characters makes you see how pure of a little cinnamon roll she is. Plus, she always tries to do what's morally right, but not in a high-horsey way, more of a humble and judicial way. She never pushes herself on too strong, but when she does, people shut up and listen to her, which is obviously a useful skill to have as a princess, but also when it comes to whipping some of the people in Dangan Ronpa 2 into shape. She believes so much in what is right, and that's admirable, and she gets the job done. Number 4 is Nagito Komeda. I know what you're thinking, another Komeda fangirl, right? Well, yes. Nobody can deny the impact he made in the second game, and how his story is one of the most memorable ones in the whole game. His whole mindset is messed up and really shakes up the game after the first trial, but particularly in Chapter 5, that's where he shone the brightest. I also love the fact that he died, because I think that if he stayed alive longer, he would have saturated his craziness, and I think the intense, shorter dose we got of his true nature made it perfectly executed. His talent is also so crazy, especially with the Russian roulette. I was in awe when I first played it. It was so well done, and his crazy scheme to get everyone killed sealed his place on this list for me. Number 3 on my list is Hyoko Kirigiri. Hyoko, along with Tagami and Negi, is one of the main driving forces behind the trials in the first game. Her secrecy the whole way and how she mentored Negi in some way is really cool, as all of the little hints and things she said would come back around and all fit together in whatever case they were solving, which I thought was a really satisfying device in the game. Her history is also really interesting, and as you see in Dangan Ronpa Kirigiri, she's dealt with so many life-threatening situations, but never breaks that iron mask she always wears, which is something I believe to be one of the best things about her character. She never reveals too much to Negi, and you're constantly wondering whether you can trust her or not, but by the end of the game, you trust her fully, and the way she handles the class trials is just badass. Number 2 is Fuyuhiko Kuzuryu. My favourite baby gangster in the world, Fuyuhiko is another one of those characters that will not put up with your crap. At the beginning of Super Dangan Ronpa 2, I wasn't sure whether I'd grow to like Fuyuhiko, but as this plot grew, and especially with Chapter 2 when that cold, harsh exterior is broken down bit by bit, you understood fully why he had to act in such a brash and throat-cut manner. After that, he was much more kind and open to emotion, but he still balanced that with his not putting up your crap part, which made him a key character to try and keep everyone rational, yet still motivated to do better by the end of the second game. Plus, his relationship with Peko is so heartbreaking, but I love the fact that she died, else he wouldn't have seen this more human side of Fuyuhiko, and I probably would have hated him. And number 1 on my top 10 Dangan Ronpa characters list is Junko Enoshima. I know it's predictable, and it's a bit of a cop-out to go for probably the main character in the whole series, but I just love her story so much. Her past and how she got so infatuated with despair is unclear, but she's the perfect villain for it. When she's first revealed as the villain in the first game, she's obviously so far gone that there's no room trying to negotiate or reason with her. Her despair has gone way past that point. That makes her the perfect villain, because she's just pure despair, and there's no changing that, and when you find out how she killed her twin sister, there is no sympathy for her, or any hope of rehabilitation. She's free of remorse for anything she does, and she's a genius in her plans, that she came back from the dead in the form of an AI. Sometimes you get sick of the recurring villain trope, but with Junko I can never get enough of her, and her absolutely cracked schemes, which makes her my favourite character in the whole series. So, let me know what you think, and tell me who your top 10 is and why. I'm interested to see how other people's opinions differ from mine. I'll see you next time.